My father, he worked in the oil fields, and that was his primary way of making a living. But he'd do any other kind of work that he could to try to provide for his family. Both of my parents were born in Oklahoma before it was a state. It was Indian territory. Oklahoma became a state in 1907, and they were born in the state in 1905. I lived in a little place most of the time growing up in Asher, Oklahoma. We lived there in and out, and it had a population of about 350 people. And we went to school there, and that's where I got most of my education. And prior to the war, I only had an 8th grade education. And my dad worked in the oil fields, and when work got slack one place, he'd move us all to another place trying to find work. And there was about 6 of us, children, and we slept on pallets, and we slept in any way that we could, and my family had lived under very trying conditions. Not just my family. There were many, many other families at that time that were living that way. The people in the Midwest, I think, probably were hit the hardest of anyone during the Great Depression because of the unstable conditions and the drought. They had a terrible, terrible drought at that time there. And through the moving around and trying to find jobs and all, we ended up all the way in South Texas. And we ended up in a place called Sugar Land, Texas. And at that time, there was segregation. And unbelievably, we ended up working for a black farmer who was a sharecropper for a white man. And we picked his cotton for him. And we took his, he asked me once if I wanted to go with him on a bale of cotton to town to take it to the gin to be processed and put into to be shipped. And I said, yes, I'd like to go. And I went with him into town. And after we went to the gin and unloaded the cotton, we went to a restaurant. And I started to the front of the restaurant, and he said to me, he says, I can't go in the front. He says, I have to go into the back. And I went into the back with him. And that's where all the black people were. And I had dinner with the black people. And after we ate, we got back in the truck and went back out to where his farm was, where he was doing the farming. It wasn't his farm, where he was doing the sharecropping for the white man. And after that was done, we moved again and started back toward Oklahoma. And Daddy got another job in an oil field. He worked that for a while till the well was drilled. And he was out of work again. Then we moved again. But finally we got back to Asher again. had a little bit of money, and we decided, Mother and Daddy decided they wanted to go see our grandparents that lived in Ardmore, Oklahoma. So we went down there and visited with my grandmother and my uncles, and had a good visit and came back. And I was in school again, and I finally graduated from the 8th grade in Asher. Then I decided I heard about an uncle that lived in California. And I told Mother and Daddy that I'd like to go out, and I was 16 years old. And I got a ride out to California, where my uncle I'd never met lived, for $10. And I rode out to California with him. We got out there in the middle of the night. It was raining. Nobody was home. And I was miserable. Finally broke into his house to get out of the rain.